finding silver is tough, and mines are getting depleted. Having good silver deposit is really hard to come by. And we're blessed. First Majestic has got 3 large-scale districts of silver. For every 1 ounce of gold, we're only mining 7 ounces of silver. Yet the price ratio is sitting at 84 to 1. Okay, it's improved from 100. It was 100 to 1. Now it's come down to 84. That's still, nowhere near the mining ratio. So if you bring that down, not even to historic, but take it to 40 to 1, that's $100 silver right there.
Well, greetings and welcome to our Wealthion show. My name's Trey Reik, and we're here at the SCP Wealthion Silver Conference at the Shangri-La Hotel in Toronto, getting about halfway through the day. Been excited to speak with Eric Sprott this morning and some great presenters, but we are now with Manny Alkhafaji, Vice President of Corporate Development at First Majestic Silver, which is certainly up there in the pantheon of silver mining companies from whom we want to hear. So Manny, thanks for coming.
Thanks, Trey. Appreciate you having us.
Excellent. So as I was talking about the pantheon of silver companies, I thought it would be a great place to start to ask you, where does First Majestic sit in terms of relative size of production and reserves in that big picture? How big are you?
Yeah, well, we are the Purest silver company right now, and it's getting really hard to remain a silver company. Companies have the word silver in their name, yet their purity is, barely double digit these days. So as of end of Q2, our silver exposure was 55%. 1/3 of that, and 1/3 is gold, and the rest is lead and zinc. We're producing 30 to 32 million silver equivalent ounces. So you can, grasp how large that really is when you get, more than 50% of your value coming from silver. With the way silver is running right now, that can only increase further. So we're sitting in a pretty comfortable position. The company has grown quite a bit in the last little while, which I'm sure we can talk about that. But
by the way, there's no gold, just silver, lead, and zinc?
No. So silver is the majority. Gold is 1/3.
Okay.
So about 35%. And about 10% is basically lead and zinc. So 90% precious metal. Having the gold in the portfolio has been quite nice, to be honest, just given the stability and really helping us. The gold is covering the bills pretty much. Silver has just been, an exciting run. We've obviously closed our largest transaction earlier this year, and with Gatos Silver, and that brought that. The timing of that could not have been any better. So this is us right now. 22 years in the making, and we just celebrated our anniversary a couple of months ago.
So going back to something that you said for viewers, if you take the largest producers of silver are companies like BHP, Billiton, et cetera. But if you look at primary silver producers and you go to the selective silver miner index and you screen for 500 million in market cap and 20% silver revenues, how many do you think there are? The answer is 15 companies, of which you're one. And the average silver revenue percentage for the entire group is 48. So
that's below 50%,
right?
And
it's still below 50%.
Yeah, and that's the problem right now. Like, finding silver is tough, and mines are getting depleted. Having good silver deposit is really hard to come by. And we're blessed. First Majestic has got 3 large-scale districts of silver districts. So it took us a long time to build this, and to keep the purity above 50% is challenging. But like I said, we're in the right jurisdiction. We're in Mexico. That's the #1 producing jurisdiction in the globe, and we're one of the top producers in Mexico, and the larger one globally as well.
So you brought up a lot there. So let's look at the Mexico part. About a year ago or so, if I have it correct by memory, or a year and a half, there was a big jump in concern about open pit mining and mining in general in Mexico. That seems to have calmed down with Claudia Sheinbaum as the new president. How would you rate the Mexican political environment?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been quite topical the last few years. Under AMLO, things were very challenging. First Majestic, we're blessed. Obviously, we're a producer. We're not chasing any new permits. We don't have any greenfields projects, so it didn't really impact us. But we obviously pay attention to the industry, and it was challenging. A lot of the juniors, Sheinbaum has come in recently, and it's been night and day, like night and day in terms of just dealing with the different legs of the government. We haven't been waiting for any critical permits, but we did receive a couple of permits that we have been waiting on. Simple stuff, change of tailing use or whatnot. But again, that was a good sign, and that really gave us the comfort to really invest back in Mexico. We just, like I said, closing the largest transaction in the company's history in Mexico. We paid $970 million for Gatos Silver, and we would not have done that, under the previous regime.
Got it. We're going to get to the projects in a minute, but my last general introductory question is one that I'm very loyal to, that Rick Rule taught me, which is whenever you're talking to the senior management of a precious metals company, it's important to identify what is the corporate mission statement. So when people buy First Majestic Silver, what do you want them to be thinking about?
Silver. That's our exposure. We do want to get larger. We want to be the largest pure silver company. It's obviously a tall ask. There are bigger ones out there, but that's our mission. We do want to keep growing. The company's been built really on successful accretive M&As. We do have a large land package, so our organic growth is there, and we do have a couple of pipelines in the project or in the pipe. But we're always going to continue looking for silver assets. Where they are is key. We're not going to take risk. We're not going to operate in an area that we're not comfortable in. So that's our focus. Keep growing, keep becoming, or adding more profit to the bottom line, and that's what our shareholders love about us.
And along those lines, you closed the acquisition of Gatos Silver, I believe, in January of this year. So I have two questions about that. Number one, in the mining industry, when you buy something, you think you know what you're buying, and then you get what you get. Yep. And there's frequently a disconnect between those two. With Gatos, did you get what you thought you were buying?
I think we got more than what we thought we'd be getting.
Tell us about it.
So Gatos, that transaction was very competitive. It took about a year from initial conversation to close. You can imagine, there's 13 companies involved right off the bat. In a competition? So it was a competitive process run by the banks. And you can imagine multiple rounds of bidding, multiple site visits.
Wow, that's a big number.
Yeah. So you can tell there was a lot of interest. We're very obviously glad that we were the successful bid at the end. But to give you an idea, we did our analysis at $24 silver at the time. And it was accretive on all, we have a list of KPIs that we track, from what kind of reserve it's adding, what kind of production, what kind of cash flow. It was accretive on all fronts at $24 silver. So you can imagine how things are looking right now, soon after closing it. So we're quite happy. There was a number of M&As that happened soon after ours, and we're very happy with how ours, what we paid, what we got.
Did you pay top dollar at the time, or how did you win?
Yeah.
You paid by paying a rich price, which turned out to be a bargain given where we are now.
The price is obviously one thing, but so the founding shareholder of Gatos was Tom Kaplan, from the Electrum Group. Ultimately, it was his decision. Really, he wanted a liquidity event. And First Majestic's liquidity is unmatched. We trade about $200, $250 a day. The whole float, we trade the whole float every month, basically.
He took a bunch of stock, obviously.
Absolutely.
Still owns a bunch.
Yeah. No, he's out now, but he's done quite well with
over
he's
the
invested.
year.
He's got a few other assets that he's putting him back in, which we watch closely as well. But it was a great great story for him. Great to have him as a shareholder, and great that we got Gatos, through him effectively. And that's, they look at, that's one of the stuff, but ultimately as well, a single asset company, doesn't matter how good the asset you have, there's always a risk. It's nice to put this asset in a portfolio. And what's a better portfolio than a Mexican portfolio that's been existing for 2 decades? If you look at the Mexican map, we have 4 assets right now, and Gatos got slotted right in the middle of them. So we're all in adjacent states, 4 assets in 4 adjacent states, and just a lot more synergy that's being unlocked right now, from group purchases to exploration contracts to just moving people around. And that's something that a single asset company cannot have. It's unmatched. So I think the conditions of the market, all that worked out to being, for First Majestic being the ultimate winning bid.
Excellent. Well, congratulations on that. As Pierre Lassonde always says, it's good to be lucky, thus the name Lucky Pierre. So,
there you go.
There you go. Yeah. It's good to have a little bit of luck in timing. Sure. So there are 3 other operating mines, correct? Yes. And I guess to me, the backbone is San Dimas. I think I read that it's in that area has been in production for 250 years. Did I read that right?
Absolutely. Yeah, look, we really have 3 cornerstone assets right now. They're all kind of plus or minus, 5-10% from each other.
Okay.
San Dimas is shooting about 11 million ounces this year. Santa Elena's, something in that range as well, 9 to 10. Los Gatos at 100% produces 13 to 15 million. We have a 70% stake in that, so we'll get about 9-10 million out of that. But San Dimas still remains to be our largest. And in our view, it's underperforming. It's doing great, it's cash flowing, but we think we can do about 13 to 15 million. So, that's about 30 to 50% improvement in the production in the next couple of years. And we see that.
And what will achieve that improvement? Is just a lot of capital involved, or?
It's exploration. So we've had some labor issues a couple of years ago, which, was a bit of a drag on production. That's been resolved. So it's great to see throughput elevated again, and production is coming up just from that stance. But we've always been targeting these tier 1 veins, is what we refer to. So exploration team is basically deployed a new strategy in the last little while. We put out an exploration update a couple of months ago. It shows some really exciting stuff, so we'll be following up. But our theory in the next 18 to 24 months, we'll be able to hit this tier 1 vein, get it into production, and throughput is there, which is great. But if you combine that with higher grade, then that's just gravy. It's your cost doesn't change really, but your efficiency improve, and you're getting a lot more metal for the same time that you're processing.
And what's your balance sheet look like?
Strongest as ever, and keeps getting better and better, as you can imagine. We have over 500 in the bank right now, 500 million in treasury. Very low debt, net cash position, and that's growing. The end of June 30th, that's the last public information. We had 510 million. We'll be providing our Q3 financials on November 5th. So, people will see what that looks like right now.
This October, Wealthion's putting the spotlight on silver with expert interviews, deep analysis, and a special in-depth report from our partners at SCP Resource Finance. To receive this report and other exclusive benefits, you can sign up to become an accredited investor with Wealthion at wealthion.com/accredited, or by finding the link in the description below. Speaking of silver, Wealthion will be on the ground in Toronto for the SCP Resource Finance Second Global Silver Conference. Legendary investor Eric Sprott headlines the event alongside 15 silver mining companies presenting their top projects. Find out more in the description below.
And is Keith and the team interested in perhaps participating in M&A? I mean, it's a stupid question because, if something comes along, I understand. But I assume you're open to that option?
Oh, sure. Like I mentioned, 22 years and the company's been built on M&As. It's funny,
And Keith is never satisfied, so...
In the last 10 years, we seem to have done an acquisition every 3 years. We're always looking. We have... I think 18 or 19 NDAs signed in place right now. We have our eyes on, a couple of interesting ones. But to us, we're very selective in what we go after. We're not going to go and buy a junior greenfield asset.
I was just going to say at SCP Resources, we focus sort of on the explorers and the developers because it is an exciting place to be but that's not what you're looking for.
It's the pipeline, right? So we keep an eye on, but it doesn't do us any favor taking on that risk right now. We'd like to get involved at a later stage, have a de-risked asset, whether it's permitted, maybe in construction, development. That's really the sweet spot for us. And we've proven that. Like I said, Santa Elena was purchased 10 years ago in 2015, and it was producing 2.5, maybe 3 million ounces. 10 years later, and the mine had a 7-year life of mine 10 years ago. 10 years later, the mine has 8 to 9 years life of mine. Production went from 2.5 to 10 million ounces. So quadruple production, extending life of mine. That's what First Majestic can bring to these kind of assets. But yeah, we're looking. We're not stopping. It needs to be silver, and that's what we started off saying. It's tougher and tougher finding these assets.
Excellent. So I'm pretty familiar with Keith's sort of corporate culture about the silver price, and I think he's about as bullish as Eric Sprott, who's one of the big long-term bulls. But in terms of what you guys look at the market, do you think it's too late to get involved in silver given its run, or what inning do you think we're in?
This is a very different market right now. Silver broke through $30. This was the third time it's ever done that, right? And the last couple of times, it was a very quick blip. It broke through 30 and right straight to 50. This time is a little bit different. It kind of hovered. It took it a while to break through 30. Once it did 30, it sat there for a little while, consolidated. Then 35 became the new resistance. Again,
40 quick.
But 30 comfortable, 35 comfortable. Hovered around 40 for a while as well. So, I think this is really just the start of this cycle. It's going to be around for, a few more years. And you listen as well to what Eric said this morning. We're mining 7 to 1. For every 1 ounce of gold, we're only mining 7 ounces of silver. Yet the price ratio is sitting at 84 to 1. Okay, it's improved from 100. It was 100 to 1. Now it's come down to 84. That's still, nowhere near the mining ratio. So if you bring that down, not even to historic, but take it to 40 to 1, that's $100 silver right there, just holding gold the way it is. So you hear Keith and others now are saying triple-digit silver. That's where that rationale comes from. Eric also touched, initially or back in the day, the ratio, the price ratio was 12 or 15 to 1. Well, then you can only imagine what silver would be if nothing happens in gold.
Right.
Like if all the geopolitical issues have been resolved and gold is not going to go up anymore, which no one's really believing. But if you hold gold the way it is right now, silver is, has a lot more to go.
Rick Rule has, this pretty difficult to argue with theory that the U.S. dollar is due over some period of time, 75% depreciation. If you want a bench clearing number, and that implies gold should be a 3 to 1 and silver should sort of be double that, so 6 to 1 is sort of out there if all of these macro factors continue to develop as quickly as they have. Are you surprised silver's done this well? Not
that it's done this well. I think it just took it a long time to catch up, and we just hit all-time high just now. Gold is double its all-time high. That they both hit in 2011.
Right.
So I think everyone understands that theory. Silver, takes, but it's more like a slingshot. It takes a while for it to really catch up, but once it catches up to gold, it'll outperform. And I think we're starting to enter that phase right now. So yeah.
I have sort of a funny footnote question that I've always wondered. We read a lot about the industrial demand and how solid photovoltaic, blah, 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 AI, the industrial demand 59, 4 years of deficit. When it gets like this, when you guys sell your silver, do you notice, do industrial buyers start sort of bidding you up or not really? It just goes into the market and...
Yeah, we don't have the visibility on the spot components of the silver. What we've done differently, and we're the only mining company that has that now. We build our own mint. So now we're minting our own silver. This is the same silver that's coming from San Dimas.
Where is the mint? Talk about it.
Las Vegas. So it's in Las Vegas. It's it's a great jurisdiction. You got the airport right there, international distribution and domestic, and very secure, very safe area.
So how does that work? You ship yourself the
Yeah,
doré or?
Correct. So it still gets refined by a third-party refinery in Salt Lake City, and then basically gets transported to Vegas, where we grain it and then turn it into different kind of products. And First Majestic has been doing that for a while, but we've always used third-party mints. But what we realized in the last couple of years is, demand is far exceeding supply. We've not been the third-party mints weren't able to supply the products, so we said, screw this, just go on full vertical integration, build our own minting facility. Very tough, very secretive. So there's not much. So we had to learn all that. But we're blessed to have had that vision. Keith has had that vision, and we've executed on it. So we commissioned it last year, and the timing right now could not have been better.
So that gives you the flexibility to sell to a wider group of those that are normally bidding in the spot market.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like private sales to billion-dollar family offices that have. Is that?
That's pretty much it. Yeah. So right now we got 7% of our production going through this facility, and we're targeting 10%. Just the last, this whole frenzy that's going on. A lot of retail guys are buying, and we're in conversation with some big players that want to buy big chunks and just hoard it, just sit on it. So I think that's going to be a pretty interesting avenue coming through, and we've seen the sales, going through record times once silver hit 50. You'd expect that people were buying when it's lower, but I think this FOMO feeling right now,
especially with silver,
that's the thing.
Very emotional.
Yeah, and it's great, and people are, whoever is buying, they're still making money, and our premium are still pretty reasonable.
So my last naive question about the mint: is there a profit boost there, or is it just control of your markets that you're after?
No,
there's a margin there.
Definitely, yeah. So with that, we're able to charge, anywhere from $3 to $5 to $6. Sometimes we'll do special runs where we'll charge.
We're talking over spot.
Over spot, correct? Yeah. So whatever spot is, we're always going to tack on that premium. Competitive premium. We're able to do that, and we're still making money. That's still our silver. It's costing us $17, $18 anyways to make. Instead of selling it for $50, we're selling it for $55 now.
So what's the payback on the investment?
Already done. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great, and we're, again, like I said, lucky to have. We have the right operators in place as well right now. So scaling it up and just really meeting this demand has been pretty exciting, and nice to see.
Terrific. Well, thank you very much, Manny, for taking the time to visit with us. Sounds like a very exciting story. We'll keep our eyes on you and look forward to catching up in a few months.
Absolutely. Thanks, Trey.
Terrific. Thanks for coming.
Yep.
Don't forget to sign up for a free portfolio review with one of our endorsed investment partners at wealthion.com/free. With markets hitting all-time highs, now is a great time to stress test your strategy and be prepared for what comes next. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you again next time.